On this ijdm, a visit to the Countryside Mall.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Okay, here we go on a semi-rainy, stormy day in Tampa Bay area. This mall is located more specifically in Clearwater, Florida, on the northern end of the city, off of US 19 and State Route 580. And we're just taking a little drive around the mall right now, so just kind of getting into it. The mall opened in September of 1975, included Moss Brothers, Sears, JCPenney, J.W. Robinson's opened a year later. JCPenney is the only one that currently remains of the original anchors. Sears, of course, is gone and was replaced with Whole Foods, which, interestingly enough, and it's going to be hard to see, but I'll kind of point it out when it comes up in that portion of the video. When they decided to close the Sears, a section of it did stay open, and they did it kind of weird because they built the Whole Foods thing kind of on the end, or modified the end of it. But odd enough, Whole Foods isn't actually, although it's connected to the mall, you can't actually get to it from inside the mall, which doesn't make any sense to me because, I mean, I've sped this video up a little bit because it's such a long ways around the whole mall. It just doesn't make sense to me because I think when they built that, maybe they're thinking the mall is going to start shutting down or whatever, but this mall, unlike many other malls, it's actually thriving. It's actually doing really well because of smart ways of how they changed and what's inside that makes it different. And as we continue to cruise around now, we're on the JCPenney side of the mall. No particular order to this. There is the Macy's that's there currently, and of course a mall entrance right there. What more can we say? In 2002, the Westfield Group purchased the mall, and of course it's called Westfield Countryside now, but everyone in the area still calls it Countryside. Simple enough. They did a renovation project, $12 million in 2009, which they updated the mall and put in some new stuff here, there, and the other, some play areas, escalators, so forth, and older things were pretty much removed. They also added in 2011 a whole extra wing to the mall, which is not attached to the mall. The cinema is, but the rest of the stuff underneath on the lower level is not. And again, a weird decision, but anyhow, that's a 12 screen cinema complex that's there now, and a bunch of restaurants on the outside. I'm not going to name restaurants because they're not really a sponsor, and we're kind of going by that section just now. You just saw that this is the wing that they built onto the actual mall. And coming around here on this part of it, you can actually, I believe we're almost there. Whole Foods is right there. That's where the Sears used to be, and I think they added on or changed the facade a little bit, but again, that for some reason is not connected to the mall, which doesn't make any sense. So let's go ahead and go inside. I'm kind of doing this in a time lapse because, well, I recorded it as a time lapse, but there's the wall to the Sears that's been walled off. I think that's just an empty space right now, and there's another walled off area right off to the left there. I'm not sure what they're doing, if they're putting in something big or just decided not to use that space, who knows. But as you can see, on a Saturday afternoon, I mean, look at this place. I mean, there's actually people shopping, hanging out, birds cooing in the background. Those are my birds. Again, as always, when we do an ijdm video, they'll start cooing because I think they hear my voice and they want to compete and see who can be the loudest. We're just going to kind of walk around this mall if I see any other interesting things I can point out or whatever, but otherwise, this is just kind of like, hey, let's just kind of go for a walk. And I just kind of did this because I was actually surprised at how active this place was. I had visited it twice in a year span, and both times I was like, this is incredible. It's hard to believe that with all the malls closing and empty, that more companies don't do what they did here. And what pretty much makes this special, you'll see later in the video, I'm kind of avoiding it right now, but you'll see it in a few moments, is that they've done a few things to make this more like a family fun center mall than an actual thing. Well, there you go. I have to give it away. Yes, there is an ice rink dead center in the mall. That's nothing unique. There is other malls that have had that. We actually had another one that was torn down that was more on the St. Petersburg side of the city, that also had the same kind of thing with a actual ice rink in the middle like that. but that one was since converted into like a box type configuration. It's not a mall at all anymore. And yeah, what else can we say about this? I mean, yeah, we're just kind of walking through and seeing what's what. I believe what we're coming up on in maybe and the interesting part I want to point out about this mall too, there is like actual weird little sections where the floor is actually carpeted. You don't see that very often. Most malls converted to tile years and years ago, back in the late 80s. It's just kind of a strange thing for me to see when I know you only see it on the ramps, but there is actual some floor space that has carpeting on it, which was an interesting choice of, I don't know, maybe holding on to the little bit of the nostalgia of the old time. And I do remember this mall before it was remodeled. It really didn't look that bad, and it actually felt like it was lighter before, but that could just be me. And yeah, this looks like a candy shop on the left, and I mean, it's just incredible to see how much. And I think this is another little court area. This is, I think, where you underneath when we go to the lower level, because the way this mall is stepped and the parking lot is kind of like on a hill type situation. Some areas where you go in, you actually enter in through the second floor. That's the area we went in through. And some areas you enter into the first floor depending on which elevation you're at, which makes it kind of interesting and different. Well, yeah, I know most people probably won't find this too interesting, or it's something to point out, but look, like all of a sudden, like we're in a carpeted area. It's like, just kind of found that kind of strange when I was walking around that they decided to do is one little, open area like that. It's a decent sized mall. I'm trying to check and actually see the actual size. Total footage is looks like it says it's, I can't believe this. It says it's 1.2 million square feet. I did not think this mall was that big. And currently, stores you can't really judge by it because some stores take up huge amounts of space. But 157 stores, excuse me. With 6 anchor positions, 5 currently open, 1 vacant. So that gives you an idea of the size. It is a double level mall, so there's an upper and lower level. And yeah, I wonder why Forever 21's closed. Maybe they hadn't opened that store yet, or it was new. Now in the Tampa Bay area, we do have quite a few malls still in existence. Some of them doing good, like this one, like International Plaza over by the Tampa International Airport. That's a more higher scale mall, should I say. Others in the area, such as the one built on the north side of the city, I'm trying to think of the name right now, Citrus Park Malls. That one, which was built in the 90s, not doing as good, obviously, as this one. And that is a single-story mall up in that location. But as you see here, yeah, you got a Chick-fil-A, you got, your normal food court, fare nowadays that you would have. I guess the thing I miss about food courts, and it is kind of cool, they have the Chick-fil-A and the Charlie's and all that, but I'd like to see more malls with actual McDonald's and Burger King and Wendy's in them like the old school days, because sometimes, I don't know, it brings something back for me where, some of these places, I'm just looking at, they have like a buffet thing set up front, and I'm like, I don't really find them appetizing looking sometimes. That food's just sitting there kind of under heat lamps. It's just one of my things, I guess. But yeah, they actually got an Asian barbecue place. I've actually did want to try that one out, but on this day we didn't actually eat at the mall. I was just kind of cruising around, looking at things, and just kind of see where things were at. Like I said, I'd been there recently, and then I decided to go back and bring my camera. Now, a thing to note on the cameras, most malls will not allow you to film like this in them, and they can confiscate your gear and your video. So usually you just get a warning, but if you continue and persist, they can get really touchy, especially the ones that are not doing too well, which, I don't know, it's almost like they want those to fail, because I think the more videos people do of these malls and stuff and show, the good ones, the ones that are not so good, that it's not really, I mean, it's either getting people to the mall or just reminding people like, hey, this is a time that's going away in the era of online shopping. So it's just nice to see that there is a place you can go on a rainy day and hang out with the family. And I'm kind of stalling here on the other things they got going on here. But I do want to tease, and I'm not going to show it right away, a cool, and probably one of the main reasons I did this video. There is a awesome little store in this mall that we're going to check out toward the end. But here's another view of the ice rink, along with some of the other stuff other than the ice rink that they have set up for the kids to do while you're there. Really fun. We had brought our nephews there, and we ice skated around with them for a while. It's not cheap though. Wow, it is expensive to strap on some ice skates and go on that rink. It's definitely not one of those easy things. And I might have been tilting the camera down there just because I saw a security guard. But honestly, one of the guys caught me full on filming with the camera out. If you see I'm crooked sometimes, I'm kind of holding it off to my side and try not to be conspicuous, but it is a GoPro 8, and I just, every once in a while you will see my leg, but I didn't want to be conspicuous at all. And one security guy did catch me and looked right at me and just waved. It's like, okay, well, I guess they don't mind. And there was some kind of, I don't think I have it on the video, but there was some kind of video shoot going on at the mall. I don't know if it was for a commercial or whatever, but it's kind of neat. So now we're on, obviously, the JC, I think the JC Penney's on, it's on the east and west side of the mall. Got a little kind of kids play area thing going on here, and like some kid type places, and there's like a bounce place in the mall, bounce house, I guess, I don't know what you would call them. And they also got like some of these little like things, like gaming type things like you'd see at a carnival that are in some of the storefronts, which is kind of interesting. And they do have the choo-choo train. I can't say this is, again, anything, but it's just the fact how they executed this, that they made sure they had everything they could to make it a family, friendly. And with having that, that's one of the smarter ideas that they did. And we are on, obviously, the lower level now. It's a mall. I can't go on forever, so we'll just play a little music, and if anything interesting comes up, I'll go ahead to jump in and make a comment. And there's your Cinnabon place. Let's see if Gene's working. No, probably not. He's in Omaha, not in Clearwater. And I do believe, I don't want to give out any spoilers because as of this point, a lot of people have not seen season 6 of Better Call Saul, but just wanted to point that out. Now, interestingly enough, and I am kind of doing this play by play, I'm just kind of watching the video and reading the VO as I see things. Interesting enough, this mall does have a lot of open court areas, because obviously the main center court, what they would call the mall, is occupied by the ice rink. On each end of the mall, they do kind of have like a common area where you can, where it's a lot of space where they could have like a little small shindig thing kind of going on. So kind of interesting there. And we are right now actually approaching the end, which would be the west end of the mall. Now on this west end, again, I don't know why you wouldn't rig some kind of way and maybe expand some mall space if there's some space between there, I think where the Sears used to be, and the Whole Foods. But I mean, do something, connect Whole Foods to the mall. To me, it just makes more sense than just have a giant wall with a bunch of art on it and having to go all the way around if you want to go to the Whole Foods store. I mean, not that I'm a fan of Whole Foods or anything. I rarely go to that type of store, but I just use the proven and true regular old grocery store. Here's the other escalators that actually head back up to the upper floor. They're kind of on the end. If I remember right, I think those escalators were originally in the center area at one point, and they moved them off to the side like that, but I can't be sure. I would have to look at some old photos or try to find some old photos or video of the mall. But anybody has any comments and knows this mall and say, yeah, the escalators, I think were originally, it seems to me they were originally in one of those open spaces where you see the skylights. And for some reason they moved them when they did the remodel or whatever. But I could be wrong. And this is the part of the mall. It's kind of weird because there's not much going on. But one thing is cool. They have these little like battery powered scooter animal things that kids ride around on. And that's another activity in this mall that's again, it's thinking outside the box and saying, well, yeah, this is a fun thing. Just be careful you're on that section of the mall. I don't think they really want them to go out of that section, but don't get ran over by any giant furry battery-powered animals with kids driving them. Now, if I'm not mistaken, where I'm at this point, and here's kind of the layout of the mall, I think I've kind of jumped a section over, but I believe if I continue out this way is where you basically walk outside. You can get to the outside restaurants and stuff like that. But no, I am wrong. This is actually on the east side. I jumped ahead of myself. I didn't film this in any particular order or edit in any particular order. I just kind of jumped around whichever way flowed the best, because I had a few times where I had to shut the camera down or something would happen and somebody would start talking to me. So I obviously had to switch a few things around there. Oh wait, okay, here's the furry little animal section where you can rent the little animals to ride around the mall, and I was just talking about. I wasn't sure exactly where I was in perspective of shooting this video. I think I took a few different, I think I might have put a piece of video in there from earlier when I was walking, but I pretty much covered the whole mall on this one, other than the anchor stores. But the anchor store, it's not really overly exciting. It's just, to me, it's just another big store like Walmart or anything else that still exists to this day. And obviously we're coming back on the center court ice rink area here. All right, toward the one point in the video, I mentioned something special. Now this is a cool place, and how we're gonna kind of end the video. They had been there for a few years. I believe they moved spots, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, look at this place. I mean, this is like a man cave and woman cave, if in that, or a person cave that are into arcades and pool tables and foosball and all that. Pinball machines. I mean, some of them modern, some of them classic, like 1970s. You can see one kind of there on the end, the one has some silver on it. I mean, this place was just so awesome. I mean, if you want to go buy it and set up your gaming room, I mean, this place has it all. Signs, everything. Pool tables, all different kinds of pool billiards tables. I mean, it was just endless in here. I was just having a great time looking around. I didn't really play any of the video games, but I mean, look, they got tabletops. I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, a lot of them are reproductions, but again, he does have some original ones there too. So very neat. And yeah, I think one of those was an original one or a later release, but you can see some of these obviously are other types of gaming machines. I originally did not plan to do many more of these mall ones, but again, if I find something interesting or something different about the mall, then I'll throw one in every now and then. There's just so many people doing them here on YouTube and online and so forth. That'll do it for this video. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you did like the video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.